At the end of May, I sat down for a short follow-up interview with film director Vanessa Hope, who was in New York City for the opening of her documentary film, Invisible Nation.
You're listening to Talking Taiwan with your host, Felicia Lin.
Look at the presidency of Tsai-Ing Wen, Taiwan's first female president, and events that happened during her tenure. Here we are at the Talking Taiwan podcasting studio, and we have Vanessa Hope. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Last time we talked, you're in Los Angeles, and now we're here in New York, and I understand you actually grew up here?
Yep, I just walked here from my mom's apartment, which is very close to yours. So
yeah, that's really convenient for you.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about what else we could talk about with the Invisible Nation, because you're here the day before the opening in New York, so that must be really exciting to finally see that happening.
It's so exciting. And speaking of my mom, her parents were in the film business. Her father was a producer, her mother was an actress.
Yeah.
So I'd always been interested in going into film, but she thought the film business was terrible and was most excited when I looked like I was just studying Chinese and doing a PhD and spending time in China. And then I pivoted after working on a Chinese director's movie and got into film. But this is actually my first film that I've ever directed, screening in a movie theater. And the fact that it's a movie theater near my mom's house, it all feels really special.
Yeah, wow. And I'm curious, I wanted to ask you, what were you going to be studying the PhD for?
I studied anthropology and East Asian studies, both undergraduate and in graduate school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And has President Tsai seen Invisible Nation?
I hope so. We don't have direct communication, so people on her team watch it and let me know that it's approved. Mm-hmm. And actually last November we went to Taipei and we did a special screening for the President's office and their guests. Right. And also the Foreign Correspondents Club. Mm-hmm. So we are really looking forward to going back to Taiwan and releasing in the winter, we think.
Right. Yeah, no, I was actually curious if you had heard what she thought about it, but it sounds like you don't know if she's seen it. I'm just thinking about of the people that you met throughout working on this project. Who are some of the people that you think you wouldn't have met otherwise that left quite an impression on you?
Honestly, all of them.
Yeah, how can you say
hard? Yes, because they're incredible people, and I felt that from the moment I met them. You know, Xiaobi Kim, Chun Ju, Freddie Lim, Wu Pei, Shawnee Yang Ryan, Michelle Kuo, James Lin. They're amazing. Chris Horton, even all the white men, like William Stanton. Orville Schell's been a mentor for a long time, so I was happy to have him in it. Matt Pottinger, they're all good, really good.
A lot of people may be wondering, since you are not Taiwanese, how many of the people working on the film were Taiwanese, and can you share some stories of the people who worked on the film that had some connection to Taiwan, even if they weren't like Taiwanese, like born there or ethnically Taiwanese?
Absolutely. I never could have made this film without our whole Taiwanese team and Taiwan-based team. I guess it began with Sylvia Fung, who is this kind of phenomenal producer who helped us get our proposal to the President's office at the end of 2016. And then we waited the 6 months to get approval. And I met my first two cinematographers through a journalist contact, Mike Chinoy, who was the Beijing bureau chief for CNN and then Hong Kong. And one of those cinematographers just stayed in our guest house in LA. He's so much a part of our lives now. He continued shooting for the entire film. He's actually Austrian and married to a Taiwanese woman and has lived in Taiwan for 2 decades. And his son, I think, is serving in the military. He had a best friend who's Taiwanese Dutch, Mike Veldstra. Mike, we sort of roped in when we got this incredible opportunity to film President Tsai during the Buddha bathing ceremony that was on Mother's Day in May 2017. And we wanted multi-camera shoot. So we roped in Mike because he had a drone and he had additional cameras.
Nice.
And that brought in also Terry Wu, who was studying in Taiwan in high school and came back and just kind of fell in love with it. She's an actress now in Los Angeles, so we just saw her for events in LA. And at that film festival, the VC Film Fest, which is also the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival. And Chauncey Hsu, Taiwanese American, she was working with us kind of as a gaffer. And now she's living in Australia and married to an Australian guy and I think doing a PhD. The team was constantly kind of together on the road, having fun. We just got along great. And it's been nice to be traveling the film festival circuit internationally. So, you know, our international premiere was at ITFA, the film festival that's in Amsterdam. So that's basically Mike Velstra's home turf. So he came and, you know, he speaks Dutch. And actually he and Geyer could get along with the German. Michael Geyer is the Austrian. But our edit team, who unfortunately I must keep their names anonymous, but there were 3 editors on our team in Taipei who really made the film come to life and gave it the extra nuance and understanding for everything about Taiwan. And I definitely want to shout them out. Our first editor on the project, I pulled in my friend Pete Lee. He's Taiwanese American, or maybe he would say he's Taiwanese because he was born and raised in Taiwan and then came here in high school. Not sure how he defines himself. That's up to him. Don't want to speak. But he was the first eyes on all the footage I had up at that point, like 2018, 2019. And that felt critical to me. And he also taught me a lot. So I'm grateful to my whole team.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Is there anything else that you wanted to share that we didn't cover during the interview? I know it's pretty in-depth, but, or anything that you want to share, you know, about what's going on now?
I think you were one of the best interviews I've had, and you went deep, and
I appreciate
it was
that.
really excellent.
Thank you for that feedback, because I don't always get feedback. I don't always hear from my listeners, and so it's always nice to hear that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
It was very nuanced and complex and deep, that interview. Thank you. I mean, I would just add that I hope the world can get to know Taiwan's story through this film and then continue to dig deeper, because it really matters that Taiwan not remain invisible, so that it's clear to China that it should not be invading Taiwan, and the international community will stand up and support Taiwan.
I know that since you're a filmmaker, you must watch a lot of films. So do you have some recommendations for people of some things that you've seen recently?
Yes. I was very fortunate to go to Cannes this year to the film festival in the south of France. And we were on a panel with our film actually about democracy and documentary film. And that was very special, sitting next to Mstislav Chernov, who won the Oscar with 20 Days in Mariupol. And my friend Tony Gerber, who has a good documentary called War Game, that's a what if January 6th were to happen again. My friend Sigrid Dijker, who's a Danish producer with a new documentary called Democracy Noir about Viktor Orban's rise. Also excellent. There was another panelist, Victoria Kapadia, who's married to the filmmaker Asif Kapadia, who is in progress with her film. It's actually at a fundraising stage, so can't recommend that yet, haven't seen it. But in Cannes, I was really fortunate to see Black Dog, which is Guan Hu's new film, and it won the Uncertain Regard section. And it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. And I found out that the actor who plays the lead, it's Eddie Peng or Pang. I'm not sure. It's P-E-N-G, and I was pronouncing it Peng, and then someone who knows him said Pang. But
Yeah.
he is Taiwanese and Canadian, and he's the lead, and he's really good. So that I highly recommend. Black Dog. Since Kermit the Frog is sitting in front of me, I'm just going to shout out. Ron Howard has a new documentary about Jim Henson that I was also really fortunate to get to see. It's super hard to get tickets, and badges can be expensive in Canada if you don't order them in advance. So it's sort of relying on friends to get me in. And Jim Henson, Idea Man, is really good.
Yeah.
I grew up on The Muppet Show
Right.
in Sesame Street, and he was pretty brilliant and creative and innovative. And I didn't realize he had started with experimental kind of avant-garde films, short films, and that really actually influenced a lot of what was in his shows. So like in, I guess it's Sesame Street, where they do the like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's like, you know, experimental influenced. So that's a recommendation.
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you so much.
To listen to my full in-depth interview with Vanessa, check out episode 284 here on this YouTube channel or on your favorite podcast platform. And in case you're wondering why there's a Kermit the Frog in our studio, let's just say that this has something to do with Muppets cartoonist Guy Gilchrist, who we featured previously in episodes 207, 211, and 214. To learn more about where you can watch Invisible Nation, support the film, or host a screening, visit invisiblenation.net.